What's going on, y'all? It's your man Mo, and right here to my right is Lady Simone, and we are the With All Due Respect podcast. How you doing today, Miss Simone?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. I woke up this morning. That's the tagline.
Hey.
Last episode we actually spoke about our opinions, which we were trying to stay away from, but nonetheless we spoke about our opinions on the corona, the pandemic, so forth and so on. This episode right here, I'd like to talk about the regulations and requirements and guidelines moving forward since this thing is real. What are your takes on it?
I think honestly that it's all we you can't say everybody knows the answer to this thing. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And I think what happens is everybody has an opinion. And I think in order to get through it, you have to just pretty much stand on what you believe on and move accordingly. For me, I wear a mask when I go out. I wear a mask when I'm working. And that's just for me personally, I feel better wearing that mask. I'm not saying, because some people will say, well, that mask is not going to protect you. Well, at the end of the day, like I say, you have to do what you feel is going to be best for you, not only you, but you and your family, as well as everybody else around. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. And you actually made a point earlier. Everyone has an opinion, which is not always a good thing. It actually confuses. I think people' opinions that are at the forefront should be lessened. Like we should be listening not to 10, 15 people, but yet one, two, maybe three. That's all within some form of agreement. But you also made a statement as well as you wear a mask to work. You went back to work this week. How did you feel about that? Because you've actually been in quarantine for about a month now, and
Yeah.
you went back to work. So how did that make you feel?
To be honest with you, at first I was very, very nervous. I can't even say some of the nervousness is gone now. I think what has happened is that I have adjusted, and I understand that with me going back, it's one of those things to where I know I will have to put myself back out there because it's not a choice. Either you go to work or you won't have a job. So I had to be okay with anything that comes with that decision. So I make sure I'm a person with a high level of faith, and I hate to sound like that all the time. Is because people be like, well, we're all always known as trying to pray something away. But for me, I make sure that I pray daily. I make sure that if I do have to go out there, and since I did, I protect myself. You know what I'm saying? In the best way that I know how. So I take those measures to where if it's getting my temperature check every morning, if it's putting this mask on when I'm in close proximity to people, but I wear it throughout the day. And if it's trying to stay 6 feet away, if it's washing my hands constantly and more, it's being more aware. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that, oh, this is going to just cut me off from whatever is going on or corona, but at the end of the day, I'm taking the precautions that I have to take because I know I have to go out there.
And it's definitely slowing up the spread of it. I mean, because you're taking some form of precaution, which actually goes into the CDC regulations. They actually, them in the media are actually perpetuating that African Americans are more prone to catching this right here because of our occupation choices, such as public transit, cashiers, caregivers, so forth and so on. I'm not going to argue that point and say they're wrong, but I think there's another factor in there that they're totally overlooking.
What factor would you say that is?
Us as African Americans, it's in our nature to congregate with others. As far as family reunions, as far as bike show, different things, Thanksgiving, holidays, we congregate. That's
But you
just
know
our
what?
that's our
I'm
thing.
going to say something about that because at first, what was interesting to me was that I looked at it and I'm just like, well, dang, that's kind of crazy to me. And then the more and more I look at that situation, the more and more I think about that thing. I hate to say that's all we know, but those are the things that get us through.
Absolutely.
When it's a hard time, when you think about it, when it's a hard time, even during death,
when it's during a hard time, we come together and make the best of what's in front of
exactly.
us.
But I think also we have to be mindful and we have to understand that when we have knowledge of something, you know what I'm saying, and even if we don't know if it's not, we still should take precautions. It takes me back to what my mama will always say is, when you're on the highway, you can't not only look out for yourself, you have to look out for everybody else around you.
Yes.
And when I'm driving, especially when I'm going longer distance, I'm looking at both sides of my mirror. I'm using every mirror on this car. It's because I got my family in the car, and not only that, I gotta look for everybody around me because the guy next to me may be texting or getting something real quick, and he swerved. And it's like if I'm not
It
paying
happened
attention,
yesterday
it's
while we
boom.
was driving. It
Exactly.
happened yesterday.
So I'm real mindful of that. So I feel like, and I take that with me even during this pandemic. It's
Yes.
like I wear a mask not only for myself but everybody else around me. So I feel like even if you don't, you should just be considerate of everybody else that is around. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And even as African Americans, we do celebrate in large crowds, and we are
Yep.
used to being together and used to doing things. But I think we can't overlook the fact that there's other races who do celebrate the same way.
Yes.
And who's out here not wearing masks and congregating together.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we say about that? Because a lot of protests that we see, you have so many people gather together. It's safe.
And lately the protests have been going crazy as far as the people going to their downtown city halls, holding firearms and whatnot, posting up and really taking a stand, which I think is it's beyond me.
I think sometimes we have to, and this is just my opinion.
It's starting to
I
seem
think a
real
lot of times
one-sided
it's
here.
selfish. I think it's selfish because even if you don't want to think about yourself, if you don't want to think about you and your family, or I think you just think about somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you have kids, you have so many. One thing that I can honestly say that has made me think less of myself during this time is nurses and doctors. Despite whatever how they say, well, this whole thing is a hoax, this whole thing, whatever people want to think. For me, having people in the nursing field, having people in that medical field has made my heart just tug a little closer to the fact that, you know what, I'm going to wear this mask, because it's not just an experience that you get from seeing somebody post a video. These are people that I know that working in the medical field, and they have experienced things that they have never experienced in their life.
And they're actually seeing things like you're talking about, the amounts of bodies that are being stacked up. They actually said in New York, and forgive me if I'm misquoting this, or I just got my information it's fuzzy, but they said they found a U-Haul with bodies stacked up somewhere.
I seen that.
Like they can't keep up with the bodies.
I think they said they found that at a funeral home, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. They're even going as far as saying if you don't come and claim the bodies in a matter of 2 or 3 days or something like that,
it's something to wear. But you got to think, when people can think outside of themselves, what you have to understand is that there's people who have had family members pass, and they were unable to actually go to their funeral, to be there with them, to see them. You know what I'm saying? And that's hard. A lot of the times, if somebody's going through something, I cannot imagine somebody's about to pass and they're just alone. They're there, and that's just that. There's so many different factors in this thing, and I think a lot of people, they're overlooking the fact that despite if it's 1 or 1,000, a death is a death.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what they have to look at, because I always tell people, don't be that person that takes action when something is knocking at your door. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people only take heed when it's somebody they know going through it. You know what I'm saying?
I think the death toll right now is a little under 250,000.
It's crazy. Just to think of that. Like I have people who I've talked to, and they're older people, and they say, I look at this thing, and just to think of the families who have been affected. Like some people are saying, and I think it's so selfish to say, they're like, oh, they're just making this big deal, but it's not like we lost a whole bunch of people like how they lost during this time or this time. Dude, a death is a death. You know what I'm saying? Despite whatever, we understand we do have to leave one day, but under the circumstances and the things that are happening, I think it's so selfish. I think it's so selfish.
Right now they're actually some studies came up saying that they should be on the brink of having the vaccine by the end of the year, and introducing it either at the end of the year or the top of 2021. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He said that he's not giving his children the vaccine, nor himself.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's understandable and that's fair, but you are aware, if in fact this is a grand scheme of things, if you don't take the vaccine, you and your family will not be prohibited, will not be allowed in public places such
I
as
think
schools and
well, that's
workplaces.
I guess that's the case if they take it that far. You know what I'm saying? If they say, well, you can't come to school with this,
I can actually see it
which
going that far.
there's certain I think kids have to have certain shots before they go back to
Mm-hmm.
school, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then that makes
So
you
why
think.
wouldn't that be different
But
then?
then you got to look at it. It makes you think because now you have so many cases of homeschooling and all this right here. You're going to have a lot of
That's
people
gonna,
who are going to homeschool their children.
yes,
But not only that, because you have a lot of people who are not returning back to work,
this
whether
is
it's
true.
by choice or whether it's they have no choice. And it's like, okay, I just don't have a job. But at the end of the day, there's people who's looking at this and it's like a big giant reset for them. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm gonna reset everything. I'm looking at things so differently to where I've talked about homeschool. Now I can see, like, okay, I am able to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then not only do it on the level that they gave you, if you go further and think about it, look at other curriculums from homeschool, it's like, dang, it won't really be,
There are a lot of benefits
as
from
challenging.
homeschooling, and I think one of the biggest stigmas about homeschooling is that they won't be able to be sociable with their peers, but there's still events that they can
Oh
still
yes, there's
prom,
so much events.
they can still play basketball for the school.
Sports.
There's different things
Mm-hmm.
that definitely does not. And then honestly, with social media,
Yeah.
there's so many different
But then
ways of
not
being
only
sociable.
that, when you think about it, there's some kids, just like I always tell people, don't overlook the fact that your child may learn different. So
Absolutely.
then you have some kids who are not really good at school. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether it's social, whether it's just be their work or whatever, they're not good. And we have our oldest that say he's not interested to be around his peers because of some of the stuff that they do. And when you look at it, it's like, dude, if why subject your child to being somewhere that they do not want to be for that many hours out the day? And if they do not like it, and you can see that, okay, as a parent, it has me thinking like, how can I figure out ways to incorporate ways to make sure he stays social
you
and
actually,
around other people? It's not the curriculum or the work, it's just that social. Because at the end of the day, if my child is not comfortable at school, why make him go 8 hours and he's seeing like, oh, I can't even use the bathroom in peace? You know what I'm saying? He's seeing all this stuff and it's just like, yo, I just don't enjoy it.
Do you think that they're because as a Monday they pretty much lift stay at home ban. I mean, not stay at home but work from home
Yes.
on Monday here in South Carolina. Do you think that things are moving a little bit too quickly? Because
Honestly,
even with us being out and about today, it just seemed like it was just a
normal day.
like
People are not,
like a
people
normal
just,
day. Like it was like it's gone, it's over.
yeah, and I think that's what people is kind of just taking it as. And honestly, I can't say whether how they should take it. For me personally, I feel like if we are going to incorporate these steps and we are going to move back to lifting everything, I feel like everybody should at least take heed and look out, not for themselves, but everybody else, and wear a mask.
But
You know what I'm saying? Because I can't say what is too early, what is not too early. Only thing I can speak about is for me and mine.
and you made reference to the mask again. There was a governor in Texas that actually said there are more important things than living.
Yes,
And I
there's
mean,
been.
because now we're looking at the bottom. Now we're looking at the bottom line, which is money.
Oh yes, and I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of things, man. When you look at this whole situation, there's a lot of things to where that makes you cringe. You know what I'm saying? It makes you just look at life different. It makes you look at people different, and people are going to think how they want to think. And the one thing that I take from this all, and even just in life in general, is what I'm saying. For me to expect something from somebody, I already feel myself. You know what I'm saying? So I can only, one, lead by example, and I can only do what I feel that is right. So that's why I say, I can't look at this person and say, well, they're not wearing a mask. You're such and such, you're this right here. Because I'm expecting something out of somebody that A, I don't know, and B, it is what it is. I can't change that for that individual.
Even with that right there, I think to piggyback off what you just said, I think people are putting too much faith and power into these lawmakers and politicians. They're not. I don't feel honestly that they're in it for the benefit of the people. I think it's a business.
But then you look at it, I want to cut you off here because I want to ask you, how much can a lawmaker or whoever, governor, whatever, all this political stuff, how much can they cater to every individual?
They can't.
It's no way.
That's why it's a set rule. There's one set rule. There's no way that one set rule. What they do is they give you one toolbox with one tool that supposedly that should fix every problem.
You look at it, it's like you can sit here and say, you know what, this person should do this, and this is the right way. But then you got somebody else on this side saying something different. Who's like, it's no way I can cater to you, even if my heart goes in this direction. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost just like, I think that's when common sense come into play. Not only common sense, I think that's when you have to, for me, I can't say with anybody else. I have such a high level of faith to where it's like I don't believe in man. You know what I'm saying? So whatever happens when it comes down to what man says or what man do, it's not going to surprise me. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I can't get upset with them.
With them doing what they feel is best for the dollar.
You know.
And I actually told somebody the other day, I said, I'll be honest with you, man. There's a cure for COVID, right? There's a cure for COVID. Just like there's a cure for cancer, there's a cure for AIDS. That cure is on a shelf next to a Magna hat. Make America Great Again hat. That's why I honestly feel. Because at the end of the day, it's about money. There's no money in the cure. There's money in the treatment, just such as the vaccine, such as the treatments for cancer, such as the medicine that you got to take if you're HIV. That's why I personally think on it right there.
Yeah, and I mean, like I say, the crazy thing is you're going to have opinions after opinions, and you got to choose what you're going to allow yourself to get consumed in. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to consume yourself in things. I always say, if it's something that you can't change or something you can't personally put your hands on and do whatever yourself, you got to learn how to leave stuff alone. Do what you can do, when you can do it, and how you can do it.
Yes, ma'am.
And then that's that.
That's it. I was having another conversation with a friend of mine, and he just had a newborn baby boy. So he has 3 kids in all. He was just saying, man, Mo, this is crazy what they're going to have to, this world is crazy for us to be having kids and raise them. I said, you know what? I can understand that. I used to feel the same way. But what I told them was, the thing is, what's crazy to us will be their norm.
Yeah.
When they grow up, they're going to look at everything that's going on as like, wow, this is normal, versus us. We're coming from a whole nother generation.
But then, it takes me back to where certain people are born through certain times, and those certain times are what they can withhold and withstand. You go back to slavery, you know what I'm saying, and you look at that, it's no way modern day us could survive in slavery. You know what I'm saying? Those people, were built for those times, we're built for this time, and so on and so forth. So, like you say, what's the norm to us may not be their norm. They're going to be built for their time.
Absolutely.
And as things constantly change, and slavery was terrible. I don't think that should have been built for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Nobody should have to go through that. But I can honestly say, I know personally, mentally, I don't think I could withstand it.
No.
So you look at that. It's just it's a hard pill to swallow. You cannot. They always say we are so excited when kids are born. We should actually be opposite. Crying when they're born, like, oh my goodness, because they're entering into this world. But at the end of the day, they're here.
Yeah, so we just got to do our best and raise them off of what we were raised on, but then also be open-minded to this new way of living. One of the things that we've been doing to counter, which I'm not a TV watcher, my wife, she watches the news. What we've been doing is kind of binge watching Netflix and Hulu, right? To kind of, I guess you would say, balance it a little bit, get our mind, be aware, but then also be entertained by other things. Let's take advantage of
I think for me personally, Netflix, Hulu, all of that stuff, because I'm not a big TV watcher, but what made me, because it takes a lot for me to actually sit down and watch something. It takes a lot for me because my attention span is like, it's not like my attention span, but it's almost just like, in my mind, I got 101 other things that I can be doing, or I'm trying to do at the same time. So one thing that actually helps with Hulu and Netflix that I'm learning to appreciate is, as a writer, you look at different things, and I don't look at it in the sense of just watching the show. Now I'm looking at it from so many different
And you know what?
angles.
And it makes it kind of hard to enjoy the show now. Like
Yeah.
we binge watch Ozark, right? And I've been seeing online how people saying Ozark is this and Ozark is that. And it was cool. And I'm gonna say it was cool because we had an opportunity to binge watch it. I couldn't see myself sitting there glued at the TV every week waiting for it to come on. So we had an opportunity to binge watch the entire, I think it's 3 seasons, and it was very entertaining. I don't see what all the hype is, but it was very entertaining.
Yeah, and I think that the beautiful thing is, because I think people think that they have to watch something that has to be perfect and it has to be just mind blowing. I think it's interesting, and I think it's important to watch things that may not be for you, that's other people say, because then you look at it and then it's almost just like, if you got a majority of people saying this is amazing, especially as a writer, you want to take little pieces of that ball of amazement that they get and try to understand, like, okay, what exactly is exciting them,
right?
You know
and
what I'm
actually
saying?
use that to reel the people in whenever you put something out, because there's a formula obviously that's working.
Oh yeah,
so you want to utilize that. There is one show where they also showed they're showing the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. It's cool for me. I mean,
it's not,
because I actually was throughout that era, and I mean a little bit of nostalgia. That's great, but I haven't really been watching faithfully. I haven't been watching faithfully.
Yeah,
We watched
it's been
the first
okay.
night. It's been cool. I mean, everyone knew that Jordan was an asshole ultimately, and that he wanted to win. In the process of it, but
and you know, I'm gonna tell you something that's so interesting, because you can say that, but somebody else gets something totally different. So that's the beautiful thing about when you're actually watching shows. Perspective. People can watch something and they get something totally different than somebody else. You're watching it. That's even just like hearing a message. You know what I'm saying? So
I'll be honest with you. I think that's majority of people think Jordan's an asshole.
Oh,
but he wanted to win. I mean, granted, he is unreal when it came down to wanting to win.
But I mean, there's different things that different people do, to have to get them there to be that.
I agree.
I think we can put him under being great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't deny his greatness.
Yeah, and you look at that right there.
You cannot deny that.
There's things that other people can take away from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like the younger generation, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna take this away, and I'm XYZ. So all of that right there is just, at the end of the day, it's perspective. It is,
but you know what? There's this one show that I love. I love, and it's called Black AF. Hashtag Black AF. From the writers of Blackish, Grownish, Mixedish. His name is Kenya Barris. Of course, there's a room of other writers in there, but he's actually the person who wrote Girls Trip. He wrote Shaft. He wrote Coming to America 2.
And he did Top
America top Model with Tyra Banks and whatnot. He pitched that idea, and they got it. I love the show.
I think, honestly,
getting a lot of backlash.
He is, but I'm gonna say something too about it, because I really feel like, like I told, I was telling somebody, I was like, yo, I think it's a really good show. I was like, but I don't think it's for you. It's not gonna be for everybody, and that's the beautiful thing about writing the movies. That's the beautiful thing about anything. It's so unique that people art is going to be for who it's going to be for. But one thing that about Black AF that I really, really like is that when I first watched it, I knew exactly what angle it was coming from off top.
Yeah.
I knew. But then some people can watch it and they got so disturbed by it. And I'm sitting there like, what? You clearly know what he is trying to do. Well, for me,
I would think the most common thing that people were saying that they dislike about the movie is the show was called Black AF. You have a mixed wife. You have children that are mixed as well. But the thing is, Black AF was built off of his life, which his real wife is.
And not only that, if it's told through the eyes of himself and he's telling his story, he is an African American man.
Yes.
So he is Black AF. You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily just about his wife or his kids or whatever. If that story is really pinpoint around him, that's exactly what it is. But I really liked the structure of it. I really liked how the angle they came in with it. You know what I'm saying? And I guess for me, I like the uniqueness of it. It wasn't the same. It wasn't, it didn't follow what everything else, like how they feel like, oh, the series should go this way, or oh, this right here. So that's what I really like. It was
had
really
an opportunity to actually capture his real life and put some form of a twist on it to where it was entertaining to individuals like myself. And I just think it's genius how he did it personally.
Yeah, I thought it was
I
really
really
good.
think he's genius. He's been taking a lot of backlash though. He's been on a lot of
But I
different
mean, they say
platforms of it.
you ain't made it until you take some
This
backlash.
is true. He's been on a
So,
lot of different
hey.
platforms defending it and just kind of, I guess, going through the ringer.
And like at the end of the day, you can't please everybody.
You're not going to please
everyone. So some people gonna like it, some people don't. It's you got to be okay with whatever content you put out. If you're a content creator, you got to be okay with whatever content you put out, and you have to understand that if it comes from your heart, you got to stand by it. You got to understand these are your words. You can't take it back. Once it's out there, that's why people overlook the whole fact of podcasts are movie writers or whatever, just content creators. At the end of the day, you have to be okay with what you create.
Yes, you gotta be strong.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta stand on it.
You have to.
As long as you tell your truth and you're honest and you're transparent, honestly, there's nothing that anyone can hold against you. Just say it's not for you. Don't say it's trash or whatever. Just say this is not for me. And that's okay. Everything's not for everybody.
That's right.
But y'all, we appreciate y'all time. We are the With All Due Respect podcast.
Yes.
I'm your man Mo, and that beautiful angelic voice to my right is Ladysamoan.
Look at you.
Yeah, I was studying the dictionary a little bit this week. If y'all would, man, please check out our segment with Aunt Bertha. Yes. Please check out our weekly playlist that we have with Quinton Grid, 19 Below Zero, that we drop every Friday on iTunes. And also check out our Mo's Monday Moment that we drop every Monday, all right? We are the With All Due Respect podcast. We appreciate y'all. You have yourselves a good week.